Let's talk about something that catches thousands of new Florida homeowners completely off guard every single year. You do all your homework, you find that perfect dream home, you look at the seller's property tax bill, and you think, okay, yeah, I can afford that. But then your own bill arrives, and it is a massive shock to the system.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. The person you bought the house from was paying a totally manageable $2,400 a year. So naturally, that's what you budget for. But then your first full year tax bill shows up and it's for $5,200. That's more than double. And this isn't just some made up number. This is a very real scenario that plays out all across Florida. So what on earth happened? Did someone mess up the paperwork? Was there some giant secret tax hike that nobody told you about? Well, the answer is actually no. The crazy thing is, this is exactly how the system is designed to work. And if you understand it, you can avoid a very, very painful financial surprise. The entire reason for this huge jump in your tax bill comes down to one specific Florida law. It's called the Save Our Homes Cap. But for a new buyer like you, it's probably better to think of it as the Save Our Homes Reset. Now, the intention behind this law is actually a good one. It's designed to protect people. The Save Our Homes Cap was created to stop long-term residents from getting taxed right out of their own homes as property values went through the roof. So it puts a really strict limit on how much their home's assessed value can go up each year. For someone who's lived in their home for a while, it is a fantastic benefit. And right here, this is the absolute heart of the issue for any new home buyer. All of that accumulated tax benefit that the seller was enjoying, maybe for decades, it's tied to them, not to the house itself. So the moment that property is sold, poof, that benefit gets completely wiped clean. Let's see this reset in action. So let's say the seller had owned the home for about 20 years. Because of that Save Our Homes Cap, they were only paying taxes on a value of $220,000. But you just bought the house for its current market value, which is $350,000. Well, on January 1st, the property appraiser hits the reset button, and the assessment jumps all the way up to that full market value. You are now on the hook for taxes on that much, much higher number. The financial impact is just staggering. Like we saw in that first example, this reset can easily lead to a tax bill that's more than 100% higher than what the previous owner is paying. It's important to remember, this isn't a tax increase in the usual sense. It's the government taking away the seller's long-held discount and making you pay the full price. Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But here's the good news. It is absolutely manageable. The solution starts with your single most important tool as a new Florida homeowner. It's called the Homestead Exemption, and you should really think of it as an immediate $50,000 discount. If you qualify, the state lets you just chop a cool $50,000 right off the top of your home's assessed value before they even start calculating your tax bill. And that $50,000 reduction, it translates into real cash back in your wallet. If you're in a place like Panama City, for example, that exemption typically saves homeowners somewhere between $750 and $800 every single year. That is a huge savings you definitely do not want to miss out on. So, how do you get it? Well, the requirements are pretty straightforward. The big ones are that you have to own and live in the property as your permanent home on January 1st of the tax year. And you absolutely positively must apply by the March 1st deadline. Seriously, put that date in your calendar. Don't miss it. And this is so important. Filing for the Homestead Exemption doesn't just save you money right now. It's also the trigger that activates the Save Our Homes Cap for you. This is how you start building your own protection against those big tax hikes in the future. This is how 10 or 20 years from now, you'll be the one with that nice, low capped assessment. All right, now that you understand the reset and you know about the exemption, you can stop guessing and start calculating. Let's walk through a super simple framework to estimate what your actual tax bill is going to look like. From now on, you're never going to rely on the seller's numbers again. It's just a simple 4-step process. First, you start with what you actually paid for the house. Step 2, you subtract that $50,000 homestead exemption we just talked about. Step 3, you multiply that new number by the local millage rate, which is just a fancy term for the tax rate in your area. And boom, that gives you a really solid estimate of your annual tax bill. Let's make it real. Say you buy a home for $300,000. You immediately get to subtract that $50,000 exemption. That brings your taxable value down to $250,000. You multiply that by a typical Panama City millage rate, and your estimated annual tax is $3,875. This is the number you should be budgeting for, not the seller's much, much lower bill. To stay on top of all this, it really helps to know the annual cycle. Now, there are a lot of dates here, but the two you have to burn into your brain are January 1st, that's the date that locks in your status for the year, and March 1st. That's the absolute final deadline to file for your exemptions. If you miss that one, you have to wait a whole other year. Okay, we've covered the why and the how. So let's pull it all together into a simple, powerful action plan. This is your checklist. This is what's going to make sure you are never, ever caught by that Florida property tax surprise. Before you even sign the closing papers, you've got to do these 4 things. 1. Go to the county property appraiser's website and use their tax estimator with your purchase price. 2. Calculate your true monthly housing payment. And 3. Make absolutely sure your lender is not using the seller's lowball tax numbers in their calculations. You need to qualify for the loan based on reality, not the seller's discount. The second you get those keys to your new home, your work begins. First, file for that homestead exemption right away. Do not wait. And while you're at it, check if you qualify for any other exemptions, like for veterans or seniors. And one last word of warning, your very first tax bill might be prorated, and it might still look kind of low. The real jump, the bill shock, often hits you in your second year of ownership, so you have to budget for that higher amount right from day one. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? I think it's summed up perfectly in this quote. The system isn't out to get you. It's just that the seller's low tax bill was based on years of benefits that simply don't transfer. You're starting at square one. By understanding that you're starting fresh, by calculating your real costs, and by filing your exemptions on time, you can walk into this with your eyes wide open, avoid that bill shock, and start building your very own long-term tax benefits in your new Florida home.